Hi, everyone. My name is Menaka Raman, and I'm the author of Loki Takes Guard. I'm deeply, deeply honored to win the PFC Valley of Words 2021 award in the category for writing for young adults. I'd like to begin by extending my thanks to Dr. Sanjeev Chopra, Festival Director. Literature for young readers is often overlooked. It's not considered important enough or worthy enough to to be up for contention for a number of awards, to get precious newspaper column inches for reviews, panel discussions, and so on and so forth. So first of all, thank you so much for creating a space for books for young readers at the Valley of Saili, Mr. Ajay Mishra, Mr. Bikram Singh, and the many, many other people who have worked so hard to bring this festival together. I started writing Loki Takes Guard after a brief conversation with a young neighbor of mine one morning. We were both at the bus stop waiting for the school bus to arrive. I was there to drop my two young boys off. And I can still remember my delight when I saw her. She was this 10 or 11-year-old girl, and she was dragging this massive cricket kit behind her. And I think her own delight at the idea of being able to play cricket that day possibly mirrored my own, maybe. So when I found out that she was going to be the only girl in her entire grade who was going to play cricket, it kind of made me pause for a moment. And I thought, well, what might that be like, to be the only girl maybe in an all-boys cricket team? And really, it was from that brief encounter, that brief conversation, that the idea for Loki Takes Guard took shape. I wrote the book for almost a year and a half, I think. And when I was writing it, I really didn't know if anyone was going to want to publish it, if anyone would care about the book. But I just wrote it because it made me really, really happy to tell this story. So I really want to thank Sudeshna Shom Ghosh and Radhika Shanoy, my editors at Talking on me and Loki, and for saying yes to this book, editing and publishing it. I'd be remiss not to thank the supremely talented illustrator and artist, Ekta Bharti, who brought Loki to guard on the cover of the book, who brought her to life, and also to Maithili D for her superb art direction. Like I said before, I took almost a year and a half to write this book, and it really wouldn't have been possible without the immense support of my family and friends, especially my family, who tear every day for hours on end into my room to write. So thank you so much for all of that. And thank you to all my friends who along the way encouraged me, threatened me when I wasn't writing regularly enough, and who really did keep me going. Thank you so much. Loki Takes Guard is about a young 11-year-old girl called Lokanayaki Shanmugam who wants to do nothing more than play cricket. And she really, really wants to play cricket for her local cricket team, the Temple Street Tankers, but they tell her that she can't. And very similarly to how the Temple Street Tankers dismiss Loki's desires to play for this team, I think very often adults, grown-ups, are guilty of dismissing the hopes and dreams of the young people that we know. We relegate them to a corner. We say they're silly, they're frivolous, they're not worthy. And when our children to pursue those things which we deem important, noble, worthy, or at the very least lucrative. As adults, I think we're all a bit guilty of, quashing these dreams even before they've managed to take shape and wing. Why would you want to do that? That's such a terrible idea. You should be busy spending your time studying. Where will you get ahead in life if this is what you want to do? These are all questions that we very often ask young people. And these are questions and these voices are things I think that stay embedded in their minds well into adulthood. So these questions that we implant in their heads are constantly telling them that everything they do, everything they pursue must be in service to a larger goal, some greater good in our lives. And we have forgotten that sometimes the art of pursuing something, doing something just for the sheer joy of it, just for the sheer pleasure it gives us, is still something very worthy and important. Not everything that we do has to be to get us better marks, to get us, better grades, a better rank. So I think this feeling that these thoughts that we grown-ups have, that's kind of filtered into everything. It's filtered into our children's hobbies, the games they play, and even the books they read. That's right, even what they read. We want all our children to read books that are deemed, educative, that will teach them some morals or pass some learning on to them. And we think that they should be reading widely and deeply because we now know that those things are linked to, of course, better learning, higher grades. And so we direct our children to read a certain kind of book. We like to humble brag about what our children are reading and how much they read. Until, of course, they get to middle or high school. And then we tell them, don't waste your time on storybooks. You should be focusing on your textbooks instead. I think reading above all else must be just for the sheer pleasure, the sheer joy of it. Not so that it helps us to do better at reading comprehension passages in exams or because it expands our vocabulary. Yes, reading does all of these things and more. But that's not the main reason why our children should read. They should be reading because a book is a wonderful door into this amazing wide world out there. At the same time, reading also allows us to find those moments of shared kinship. When we read a book and there's a character who we identify with, and that moment of thinking, oh, there's someone out there who's like me. I still think one of the most lovely things I heard from a reader of Loki was when she messaged me. It's a young 11-year-old girl, and her mother messaged me and she said, my daughter says, I am Loki, and I know exactly how she feels. I'd like to end by quoting from Michael Panach's Rights of a Reader. To quote him, when it comes to reading, we grant ourselves every right in the book, including those we withhold from the young people we claim to be teaching. And here are his 10 rights. The right to not read, the right to skip pages, the right to not finish a book, the right to reread, the right to read anything, the right to escapism, the right to read anywhere, the right to browse, the right to read out loud, and the right to not defend your choices and tastes. And he says, I'll stop at 10. It's a nice round figure that also happens to be the sacred number of the famous commandments. Except this is a list of things you can. If we want our sons, our daughters, all young people to read, we must grant them the same rights that we grant ourselves. Once again, my many thanks to Value of Words 2021 for this award. I'm very, very grateful and very excited about it. Thank you so much.